Excellence is never an accident. These words, spoken over 2,000 years ago by Aristotle, still echo through time, piercing through the noise of modern chaos, reminding us that wisdom is not a relic of the past, it's a living force. Ancient Greek philosophy wasn't built on myths or blind beliefs. It was built on observation, reason, and the relentless pursuit of truth. Plato and Aristotle, master and student, didn't just question life, they forged tools to master it. They didn't speak to fill scrolls. They spoke to awaken the mind, to sculpt the human soul into something extraordinary. And in their world, wisdom wasn't about knowing more, it was about being more. In a world where most people chase comfort, these thinkers chased clarity. Where others sought pleasure, they sought purpose. Plato taught that the unexamined life is not worth living. Aristotle built upon it, showing that happiness, eudaimonia, comes not from possessions or fame, but from aligning one's actions with one's higher self. So today, we travel back, not just through time, but into thought itself, into the heart of human purpose, guided by the minds who built Western philosophy from the ground up. If you've ever wondered how to live with greater discipline, purpose, and calm, how to find strength when life tests you, you're about to discover it through the timeless words of Plato and Aristotle. Their ideas are not just old wisdom, they're tools for life. Let's open them, one by one. When we look back to ancient Greece, we're not just studying history, we're studying humanity itself. A civilization obsessed with excellence, reason, and the soul's evolution. And within that world, two giants stood apart. Plato and Aristotle, minds that shaped the foundations of truth, morality, politics, and education. They didn't just ask what life is, they asked what life should be. Plato believed that truth exists beyond what we can see. To him, the visible world around us, the things we touch, the faces we know, are only reflections, shadows of a deeper, eternal reality. He said that the visible world is merely a bridge to the world of forms, perfect, timeless ideas that never decay. The chair you sit on is imperfect, but the idea of a chair, that eternal concept, is flawless. For Plato, wisdom began when we stopped chasing illusions and started seeking the eternal truths that govern our souls. He warned that most of us live like prisoners in a cave, mistaking shadows for reality. We see fame, wealth, and comfort and think that's happiness. But Plato urged us to turn around, to look beyond the walls and face the light, the blinding brilliance of truth itself. And that journey, my friend, is not comfortable. It burns. It shatters illusions. It makes you question everything, even yourself. But only then, he said, can you call yourself truly awake. Aristotle, his student, agreed that knowledge was essential. But he brought it down to earth. Where Plato looked to the heavens, Aristotle looked to the soil beneath his feet. He said, we learn by doing. We become brave by acting bravely. We become just by doing just deeds. Virtue is not born and fought, it's forged in action. He taught that excellence is not a gift given at birth, but a habit built through discipline. Every decision, every small act, every repeated choice, it all molds your character like a sculptor shaping marble. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. That was Aristotle's challenge to humanity, to live intentionally, not accidentally. And both he and Plato agreed on one thing: the hardest battle is the one within. Aristotle said, "I count him braver who overcomes his desires than him who conquers his enemies, for the hardest victory is over self." It's easy to control others. It's far harder to master your impulses, your anger, your greed, your fears. Every time you resist the pull of chaos and choose calm, you are practicing philosophy, not in words, but in life. Ancient Greek philosophy wasn't about being clever. It was about being in control. Plato said, "The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself." He meant that freedom is not found outside of us. It's built from within. A man enslaved by his desires, he said, is more bound than any prisoner. And Aristotle added, "Happiness does not depend on luck or fortune, but on the quality of your soul." Both philosophers believed that a good life is one lived with purpose. Plato urged humanity to rise above mere survival and seek meaning. Aristotle explained how. He said that where your talents and the needs of the world cross, there lies your vocation. That's not just a quote, it's a blueprint for destiny. Your calling isn't random. It's the intersection of your inner gift and the world's hunger for something true. But how do we get there? How do we rise above noise and confusion? Plato said, "Begin with knowing yourself." Know thyself, he reminded, not as a moral slogan, but as a commandment for clarity. Because the person who doesn't know himself can't control his life. And Aristotle followed, saying that reason is the light that guides us. We are rational beings, meant to think, reflect, and act with intention. When we ignore that divine gift, the ability to think, we fall into darkness.
They both taught that a disciplined mind is a free mind. Anybody can be angry, that's easy, but to be angry at the right person, for the right reason, at the right time, in the right way, that, Aristotle said, is not within everyone's power and is not easy. Control isn't weakness, it's strength refined. To them, wisdom wasn't a decoration, it was survival. Plato believed society collapses when ignorance rules. He warned that the price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. That statement burns even today, because he saw what happens when truth becomes inconvenient, when people choose comfort over conscience. He knew that the world would always need thinkers, people who can see beyond the shadows and question the very structure of power. And Aristotle agreed. The fate of empires, he said, depends on the education of youth. He believed that if you want to change a nation, you don't change its laws, you change what its children are taught to love, fear, and respect. A society built on shallow values breeds chaos, but a society built on virtue, that lasts. For both men, virtue was the core of everything. Virtue was not a word for morality, it was excellence in motion. To Plato, virtue meant harmony of the soul, reason ruling over desire. To Aristotle, it was balance, the golden mean between extremes. Courage, for instance, sits between cowardice and recklessness. Generosity lies between stinginess and waste. In a world of excess, Aristotle reminded us that the good life is not found in extremes, but in equilibrium. They were practical too. Aristotle said, "To write well, express yourself like the common people, but think like a wise man." He wanted wisdom to live among the people, not locked away in ivory towers. And Plato's dream was no different. He envisioned philosopher kings, rulers guided by truth and reason, not greed. He said, humanity will never find peace until philosophers become kings, or kings become philosophers. But beyond governance, their wisdom reached the heart of human emotion. Plato and Aristotle both spoke of friendship, the rarest kind, born from virtue, not utility. Aristotle said, "My best friend is the man who, in wishing me well, wishes it for my sake." True friendship, he believed, was a partnership in the pursuit of good, a mirror that reflects not your image, but your potential. They also understood that suffering and discipline are not curses. They are the fire that forges character. Aristotle said, "It is easy to perform a good action, but not easy to acquire a settled habit of performing such actions." That's why he believed character reveals moral purpose, not words, not feelings, but choices. You become what you choose, and in every decision lies the blueprint of your destiny. Plato warned that people often live in self-deception, mistaking pleasure for joy. He wrote, "Bad people are in conflict with themselves. They desire one thing and will another." He wasn't judging. He was diagnosing the human condition. When we chase comfort at the cost of conscience, we fracture ourselves. But when we align desire with reason, the soul becomes whole again. Aristotle echoed this harmony in his concept of eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, but it meant more than pleasure. It meant fulfillment, living in accordance with your highest self. He said, happiness is a quality of the soul, not a function of one's material circumstances. That's why he believed the man of virtue could be poor, but still content, because his worth wasn't built on possessions, it was built on purpose. They also warned against the false glow of knowledge without wisdom. Plato once told the story of how writing itself could weaken memory, how relying too much on external marks would make people forget to think. He said, "You will make them seem to know much, while for the most part they know nothing." He foresaw a danger, that humans might one day know everything, yet understand nothing. And that prophecy rings louder today than ever before. Yet in all their brilliance, both men agreed, humility is the beginning of true wisdom. Plato said that wonder is the start of philosophy. When you stop being curious, when you stop asking why, your growth ends. And Aristotle said, the educated mind is the one that can entertain a thought without accepting it. That's the mark of maturity, not agreeing with everything, but understanding it deeply. Their teachings reached beyond the mind, they touched the very soul. They taught courage in the face of fear. Plato said, to be afraid of death is only another form of thinking that one is wise when one is not. He believed that wisdom is found in facing what we don't understand, that fear is just ignorance of truth. And Aristotle taught that life's meaning is found in motion, in striving, in reaching, in becoming. He said, man is a goal-seeking animal. His life only has meaning if he is reaching out and striving for his goals. That's what made their philosophy timeless. It wasn't theory, it was a call to action. They told us that the mind must be trained like the body, disciplined, sharpened, and used with care. Bodily exercise, when compulsory, Aristotle said, does not harm the body, but knowledge forced upon the mind takes no root. True learning must come from love, the hunger to grow, to understand, to evolve. And both men believed that society must protect that hunger. For Plato, the greatest danger was moral blindness, when people stop questioning and simply obey. For Aristotle, it was imbalance, when reason loses control and appetite rules. They warned that when greed and ignorance govern nations, civilization decays from within. But they didn't preach despair. They offered solutions. They believed that every individual, no matter how flawed, could ascend toward truth. Education, virtue, and discipline, these were their tools. They taught that no one is born wise, but anyone can become wise through choice and practice. And that's what makes their legacy eternal. Even their thoughts on solitude spoke volumes. Aristotle said, "He who cannot live in society or has no need because he is sufficient for himself must be either a beast or a god." He reminded us that we are social by nature, that true strength doesn't isolate, it connects. Man becomes most human, he said, when he contributes to others, when he uses his virtue not for vanity, but for service. And yet they never denied that solitude is sacred too. Aristotle wrote, "He is his own best friend and takes delight in privacy, whereas the man of no virtue is his own worst enemy and is afraid of solitude." A wise soul finds peace alone, not because he hates the world, but because he understands himself. Their words weren't designed for scholars, they were designed for warriors of life. They believed every man and woman could become their own philosopher, someone who thinks clearly, acts justly, and lives with intention. For them, the measure of a person was not in what they possessed, but in what they became. And so through time, through the rise and fall of empires, through centuries of noise and progress, their wisdom remains. Because truth, as they taught, doesn't age. It only waits for those who are brave enough to seek it. The wisdom of Plato and Aristotle isn't trapped in dusty books or ancient scrolls. It's alive inside you. It waits in the silence between your thoughts, in the decisions you make every day, in the way you treat others when no one is watching. They both taught that truth is not something we find, it's something we become. When you choose honesty over comfort, discipline over distraction, understanding over judgment, you are living their philosophy. The world doesn't need more people who know what is right. It needs people who do what is right. That's what both thinkers meant by excellence, not perfection, but progress guided by purpose. Plato urged us to turn to the light, to stop mistaking shadows for reality. Aristotle showed us how to walk that path, step by step, with action, courage, and self-mastery. Together, they built the map to a meaningful life, a life not of luxury, but of clarity. Because when you understand yourself, you gain power over everything else. So as you move forward, remember their eternal challenge. Don't just live, examine. Don't just think, act. Don't just know, become. Let your soul hunger for wisdom, not applause. Let your words and your work reflect harmony, not haste. And when life tests you, when the darkness feels endless, remember what Aristotle said. It is in our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. That light, my friend, is already within you. It's time to face it and live wisely.